Hello, it's Milton Cruz talking. It is my pleasure to introduce my group with whom we have carried out the realization of two mind maps and recording this video about Chapter 1, the origins of language, and Chapter 2, animals and human language. In the development of this video, I will be accompanied by my classmates Doris Elizabeth and Fatima Graciela.
Well, in this chapter, chapter number 1, let's talk about sources that have emerged and attempt to explain the origin of our language. The first source is the divine source, which says that was once an original language, poorly improved by some divine source, which is God. For example, like God giving us the language. So it's no as evidence could still be established of this. So breaking away with this source, it brings us to speculate that there is the natural sound source, meaning that presents the environment have become the basis of language being humans. So Jasperson further validates the concept, and with these theories, the first one is the Bow theory. Um, it says that the origin of language arose through onomatopoeia, which, in simple words, is the imitation of sounds in nature. And another one is the poo-poo theory. This theory proposed with the concept that sounds or cries produced during emotion are the origin of language. And the musical theory, it proposed that the idea that speech emerged sounds of inspires playfulness, love, poetic sensibility, and song.
It's me again. In this opportunity, I will talk to you about the social interaction source. The emergence of this proposal is that it places the development of human language in a social context. The main idea is that in this source is that the sounds were involved in physical effort, and to be more specific, the sounds were needed to coordinate those physical activities involving several people. The next source is the physical adaptation source, and we have looking at types of sounds as source of human speech. However, we can also look at the types of physical features human possess, especially those that may have supported the speech production. And we can start the observation with the observation that an early stage our ancestors made a major transition to upright posture, and this really changed the way we breathe. Also, in the study of evolutionary development, there are certain physical features that are streamlined versions of features found in other primates. For example, the teeth and lips. Human teeth are upright, not slanting and outwards, like those in apes, and they are really even in height. The human lips have much more intricate muscle interlacing than that is found in other primates. And we have also the mouth and tongue. The human mouth is relatively small compared to other primates and can be opened and closed rapidly. The human tongue, have a shorter, thicker, and more muscular. And finally, we have the larynx and pharynx. The human larynx or voice box differs significantly in the position from the landings of other primates, such as monkeys. And we have finally also the pharynx above the vocal folds, which acts as a resonator for increased range and clarity of sounds produced by a.
Hello, well now it's my turn and I'm going to explain more about the tool making source in human brain. Do you know about the tool making source? Well, about 2 million years ago, humans had developed preferential rate headness and had become capable of creating different tools. Now, why is important the human brain in the tool source? As we know, humans have two hemispheres, those functions that control the motor movements involved in complex vocalization. In order to use tools, make tools in speaking, there was an involuntary connection. That is to say that our brain is capable of doing more than one thing at the same time. Also, we have the genetic source, the innate hypothesis. This refers to how humans have a special capacity for language that is almost automatic in every young children. As you know, even children who are born deaf become fluent using language user. They developed their own way of communications. Since language is innate in our genetics as no other creature has it. And this is all for chapter 1. Thank you.
Now let's move to chapter number 2, animals and human language. And the first point will be communication. We should first distinguish between specifically communicative signals and those that may be unintentionally informative signals. Someone listening to you may become informed about you through a number of signals that you have not intentionally sent. However, when you use a language to tell to someone directly a message, you are considering communicating something. We have some properties of human language. While we tend to think of communication as the primary function of human language, it is not its only distinguishing feature. Why? Because all creatures communicate in some way, even if it is not through vocalization. Humans are clearly able to reflect on language and its uses. This is reflexivity. The property of reflexivity accounts for the fact that we can use language to think and talk about language itself. And next, we will look in detail another 5 features. And we have a property of displacement. This is talking about things that happen in a specific time. Something that happened in the past, right now, or that will happen in the future. In animal communication, there is not exist displacement.
Well, continued with the property of animals and human language, we also have arbitrariness. It refers to the fact that the form of linguistics and sense do not have any natural relationship with their meanings. For example, in Spanish we say mesa, but in English we say table. It refers to the same object but with another linguistic form in a different language. Also, we have cultural transmission. It refers to how a language is transmitted from one generation to the next.
Another property of human language is productivity. Humans are continually creating new expressions, uh, manipulating resource, but the communication system of other creatures are not like that because they don't have the ability to use human language because humans are superior in this aspect. And the next property is duality. And this is a property of human language that provides a combinatorial structure at two different levels. For example, meaningless sounds can be like combined into meaningful. For example, morphemes and words, which can be further combined. And continue with chapter 2. We have talking to animals. There is a lot of spoken language directed by humans to animals, apparently, under the impression that the animals follows, for example, what is being said. The explanation is that the animal behaves in a particular way in response to a message or noise, but doesn't really understand what it means. And the next point in this chapter is chimpanzees and language. This part deals with experiments on how they have tried to compare the growth of chimpanzees and humans, how to develop their language.
In my last participation, we'll be talking about chimpanzees and language. We have the case of Washu. Washu was a chimpanzee that was taught American Sign Language. She learned how to sign more than 100 words, and as are airplane, baby, and banana. She combined words forms to produce sentence. And on the second case is Sarah and Lana, two chimpanzees that learned to use a set of plastic shapes that works like word symbols for communication with humans. The plastic shapes represented words, and Sarah put them one after another to build sentences. Lana learned a language that consists of a set of symbols on a keyboard. And this is all from me. Thank you for your attention.
Almost finished with our presentation, I am going to explain the controversy. It refers to the fact that many arguments point out that animals can say words that humans say. While humans produce different sounds, animals can imitate us, but not speak, of course. Also, we have Kenzie. Kenzie refers to a chimpanzee who spontaneously began to use the symbols system with a great ease. Kenzie also learned at a very early age. Also, we have using language. It's important to recognize that the Washu and Kenzie use symbols to communicate with humans, but we cannot say that animals are going to speak or use language. We can say that is a behavior similar to what humans do. And that's all for us. Thank you for your attention.